Good afternoon and good evening to everyone across the world. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Naglakshmi Iyer, and I'm a summer intern at Wage Indicator Foundation. I'm from India, and I'm going to be your moderator for the day. In this webinar, Wage Indicator's safeguarding policy will be introduced while explaining its scope and importance, along with ideas, tips, and discussions on its implementation. Without further ado, I'm glad to welcome Karen, our safeguarding specialist. Over to you, Karen.
Thank you and welcome everybody. Yes, good morning, good afternoon and good evening. And a very warm welcome to everybody who's here. As mentioned, I'm Karen Rutter and I'm currently speaking to you from Cape Town, South Africa. I've been part of the Wage Indicator family for over a decade in various capacities as a journalist, managing websites, training interns, sourcing copy, social media, a whole range of different roles. And it is this new role that I'm in that really makes me proud to be part of Wage Indicator and all that the foundation stands for. The role of confidential counselor for our safeguarding policy is one of responsibility and trust, which are key features of the policy itself. I spoke earlier about being part of the Wage Indicator family, and I know many of us who have worked or interned or freelanced or done research for Wage Indicator feel the same way. We are a family, but as in all families, there needs to be checks and balances. People need to feel safe, people need to feel respected, and people need to feel heard. And while the thought of harmful or hurtful behavior within Wage Indicator sounds impossible, it would be irresponsible not to have a system in place that protects everybody, from the youngest intern to the oldest veteran. And it would be irresponsible to ignore the facts. Wage Indicator teams often include young women who have tasks ranging from in-person data collection to online social media posting. These can be vulnerable positions, and this needs to be recognized. Wage Indicator teams are also made up of many different nationalities. Cultural insensitivity and disrespect, even if unintentioned, can be a reality if not addressed. In the online arena, cyberbullying, cyber sexual harassment, and cyber prejudice can occur. These need to be clearly identified and called out. Discrimination based on race or sexual orientation or religious choice can and does take place in some workplaces. We need to be clear that there is no place for discrimination at Wage Indicator. The Wage Indicator safeguarding policy applies to all supervisory board members, directors, international staff, employees, interns, consultants, and contracted individuals for specific projects, and all visitors offline, including journalists. Basically, we have a code of conduct, and if this is not applied, there are consequences. Our policy is robust because we work in many different countries and in many different contexts. We need to make sure all avenues are covered. From a legislative point of view, we operate within an international context. Wage Indicator offices located in different countries are required to apply national safeguarding legislation and employment laws of the country where the office is located. From a recruitment point of view, we have systems in place to reduce the risk of unsuitable people entering our organization. We have a whistleblowing policy, which features a clear and accessible channel for complaints to be made. Internal safeguarding concerns relating to Wage Indicator staff, interns, and contractors can be reported via email or in person to the safeguarding lead, myself, or the safeguarding lead director, Rutter, who will tell us more about the policy just now. We are committed to following up on all matters and to investigate claims thoroughly and fairly. All of this information is available in detail through our safeguarding policy. But perhaps the most important thing is that we, within this family, feel safe. Nobody wants to work in an environment where they feel vulnerable or disrespected. And the fact is, there are those environments. In a recent survey in the UK on sexual harassment in the workplace during COVID, 45% of the women who had experienced harassment reported experiencing the harassment remotely. Remote sexual harassment can refer to sexual messages via email, texts, or social media. Cyber harassment, for example, via Zoom or Teams or Slack, and sexual calls. Last year, a survey in the USA on race at work found that 1 in 4 Black and Hispanic employees reported having been discriminated against at work. And just this month, the Australian Broadcasting Corporation was taken to task around accusations by employees from an Indigenous or culturally diverse background reporting experiences of racism and cultural insensitivity while working. We do not want to be those places, and we won't be those places. We have very clear guidelines on how to report even the very slightest incidents that goes against our code of conduct and safeguarding policy. And in fact, there are no such things as a slightest incident. Every incident is important. Your voice will be heard in confidence, and your concerns will be addressed. We will follow the best procedures possible to make sure of fairness. And at the risk of sounding ominous, if an incident is proved to go against the policies of WageIndicator and against the laws of the relevant country, we will follow due protocol. Speaking from a personal perspective, over the years, I've actually heard accounts of harassment, racism, and bullying in the workplace via our website helplines. These are free, open platforms for our visitors to seek advice, and we do our best to help them. But in all these years, I've never experienced any of these same incidents within my own workplace at WageIndicator. I hope that none of us ever has to. But I'm also confident that we have the right system in place to deal with any situations should they arise. Ultimately, WageIndicator is committed to a fair, open, and positive culture, and to making sure that all feel able to repeat and to report concerns. You will always be heard. Thank you very much. Over to you, Naga.
Thank you so much, Karen, for our extremely insightful speech about the importance of the policy.